like that.
And then they'll like close their eyes and shake their head while listening to the piano at Nordstrom's. And be like, no, I get the brothers. It's like, actually, that's a French guy in a tuxedo.
Yeah. Being paid sub-minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I bet you get a nice little Nordstrom's a classy place.
They don't get paid that much, but it is very hard to get that job.
Really?
Because I talked to a Nordstrom guy one time. I used to talk to him. I'm like, so what? I'm like, how the fuck do you end up?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was so curious because I'm like, this isn't like being a mall Santa.
No.
You know, and he's like, no, it was fucking very hard to get this job.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
What hoops does he have to jump through?
I don't remember. This was already like, you know, I was a teenager. I was working at the mall and I just
you were hanging out with him afterwards in his car.
Exactly.
In the parking lot.
It's weird because I you know, your memory kind of gets jumbled up, but I know that it's impossible because I used to shit at the Sears.
Right.
You
That's
know,
where they had the good bathrooms.
They had a good bathroom.
Yes.
No, I mean it. And
which mall is this for the listeners?
Lake Forest.
Lake Forest.
Yeah, and I would go shit at the Sears, but then it's like maybe it wasn't even a Nordstrom's because now I'm having like now it may have been just a pianist at a restaurant.
Yeah.
that I went to one time. Because it's
and
like
he was lying to try and molest you.
Yeah. And I never, because they don't have a pianist at Sears, and
it was certainly not.
I was definitely shitting at the Sears.
Interesting.
You know,
was it in the bathroom at Sears?
It was. It was in the craftsman's tool aisle, which is another thing they don't have at Sears anymore.
Oh, really? That was the coolest part of Sears.
Yeah.
Because it's some shitty store. As a kid, you're like, this store sucks dick. It's not as good as the other ones.
The Craftsman.
And then you take a right turn. It's like, oh, this is a fucking Home Depot now. This is fucking tight.
Yeah.
And it's not as scary as Home Depot.
Yeah.
As a little kid, you were scared it's big. Sears, you understand a department store.
Yeah.
A department store, a child runs wild. You hide in between the little things.
Yeah.
You know, you've probably had some nice fucking Sarku Japan.
I have another early memory of being, and I don't even know what mall it was, because it had to be somewhere in Virginia, because I remember being with my grandmother, and then we went to the mall, and it's like, this is one of those things, it's like, did something happen? I don't know. Because it's hard to explain, but I remember being in the mall and then going into like a stock room thinking it was a dressing room, and it was like it was a room I shouldn't be in.
Oh no.
And then and there was like the walls were like some kind of like, it was just like a weird red and mauve color scheme that was just sort of like visually offensive.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That memory ends. And then I remember being in
and now you have just scent memory. It's a man's cologne.
A defensive driving class. I mean, watching a video. And in the video, this was years later. So this is a decade later. In the video, they're explaining how anti-lock brakes work. And they were like, why maybe you should, like, this is prior to anti-lock brakes. I forget the point of the video, but it's like if you're hydroplaning, you're on ice, you should pump the brakes or something.
Right.
So it shows the guy pumping the brakes, but it's a shot of like, I don't know, like the floor area, the driver's side floor area of like a I don't know, like a Cutlass Sierra or something, and it had the same kind of red. There was like a red velvet interior to the thing, and there was something that was like, oh, this is something's wrong. You know?
God damn, dude.
And I have no idea what it was. But it was just one of those things.
How old were you at that mall the first time?
I don't know. It must have been like 4.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. 4 or 5. I don't think
some gay man in a velvet tuxedo sucked your dick.
I don't think, because I feel like those are the kinds of things I don't believe in, like repressed memories. I do believe in like inexplicable emotional trauma. That's like, you know, because it's like there's different levels of trauma.
Yeah,
you could just be misplaced in the mall for a second.
Totally, and as a 4-year-old, you're so scared.
I remember going into a bathroom.
And then a kind stranger promises to take you to your grandma.
I remember going into a bathroom one time, and have you ever seen those bathrooms in older buildings where they have the round sink with the pedal?
Yes.
You know, the first time I saw one of those, I would horrify me because I didn't know what it was. I went in the bathroom, and I was like, what the fuck is this machine? It was like something out of Nightmares.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think of like shit that scared the fuck out of me as a little ass kid.
I used to have this recurring nightmare that I would be in like in like school when I was a kid, and then but the school always had an additional wing, like a secret wing, and then there was always an element of like your clothes are missing or something like that, or you don't have your homework or something. But then I would go into the bathroom and I need to use it, and then the bathroom would be all just like sort of like, the way like at one of those like refineries or like where there's just pipes. The floor is just all these weird pipes, and there's no like I don't know how to use any of these pipes, and they all kind of just like interlock, and you can't use the bathroom.
Yeah.
But that was like a recurring nightmare I would have.
Damn, I don't remember any of my fucking nightmares as a little ass kid.
Really?
Not really.
I think I spent so much time in my subconscious.
I was scared of the
theater of the mind.
The theater of the mind, of course. I remember one time going to my mom, and it was I was like 3. Or I was like 4, and I had a memory of being 2, and my brother's just being born.
And you were molested by a guy in a velvet tuxedo.
And then a guy in a velvet tuxedo, and then he came through and he sucked my.
It'd be funny if we were abducted by a pedophile. Just they're calling him the Maryland child rapist, and we were both molested. And then the guy's driving around, and he's like, "Well, you suck my father's dick."
That's the only explanation.
In dog kennels. Yeah. We're like, what the fuck? And then we're just dropped off wherever.
Right.
And then
and he threw a donut in the back seat, and I got most of it. And you've been mad about it our whole lives.
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't know where the parody song thing came from.